For all you freshwater enthusiasts, tonight's species can be found under lily pads, around stumps, and even in the cattails. So get ready, because we're talking all kinds of bass here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, powered by Harbor Trucks and presented by Yamaha.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Brie Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy, along with an awesome studio audience tonight and special guests from FWC, ready to talk all about bass and getting Mom out on the water this weekend for Mother's Day, right, Rick?
Absolutely, Brie. You know, I hope we've got beautiful weather this weekend because, you know what, it is Mom's Day and we got to go do the things they want to do.
Exactly, and hopefully that's getting out on the water. But someone who knows a fair amount about catching them bass is Dave Ferrell at the CCA Workbench. Think you can give us some tips over there, Dave?
I hope so. I'm trying to think about what would make my wife happy. That's the tips that I'm trying to pass on. I don't know what that would be.
Being on a boat?
Maybe you not going home.
Maybe that's it.
Maybe
that would probably
you
be the
not
best
going on a
thing. If
boat.
I'm not home for Mother's Day, if I can get my butt out of town, that's the best present I could give her.
There you go. You go fishing, Dave. All right, the Bell's Southwest region is first up, and Captain Ronnie Houston has got you covered. So, Ronnie, let's hear it.
Well, you know what? It's a pleasure to be talking about bass tonight because this is how I really developed a passion for the outdoors and fishing. You know, bass can be caught all through the region in most lakes, canals, rock pits, and in brackish waters of Everglades National Park. Now, the good thing is the bass can be caught all year round, you know, especially on those days when you can't get out on the inshore side due to some bad weather. Just about every freshwater area holds them through the region. It could be just a few or many in numbers. Putting in the time by just simply walking the bank or simply using a canoe, kayak, or a 14-foot john boat fishing edges with rocks, matted hydrilla, or areas with plenty of lily pads is where I would start to concentrate on. Now, a few key baits that will help you find them would be a simple 6 to 10-inch worm with a light weight, either cast down the edges or across to the other side. Let the bait hit the bottom and slowly retrieve it back. Now, probably some of the best colors that you'll catch these fish on are going to be black, purple, June bug, black and blue is a great color all around, or simply watermelon. Chugging lures, prop baits, top waters, also for locating. But probably my favorite bait is the Bass Assassin Die Dapper, either just under the surface or a steady retrieve so the paddle tail will make a waking motion on top. Now, probably some of the best colors in my experience have been the Snowstorm, the Houdini, or a great color is the June bug. Or you could simply use a frog brought through vegetation on top. Many other baits will catch them, but try to get started. This is one of my suggestions to find them. Average size through the region is 1 to 5 pounds, with fish up to 10 pounds. And I got a couple pics on how I still love the passion of bass fishing. One of myself and one of my brothers. One of those bass caught in a bay boat, one caught in an aluminum boat. So, ladies and gentlemen, either way, they're pretty easy to catch once you find them. Now, we're still going to stay on the inshore side, but what we're going to talk about is the redfish. Now, a lot of people up to the north right now are chasing the big run of tarpon that are coming through, so it's going to give you opportunity to fish for the redfish. Start at Pine Island Marina, the York Key fishing areas where there might be high concentrations of mullet. Now, in the lower stages, potholes and troughs, either drifting with them or, when you get around them, anchor up or power pole down and fan cast the mullet schools. Keep moving with them on higher stages. Fish the mangroves in the areas of the mullet by getting baits up under the bushes. Live pinfish, cut ladyfish, gold spoons, and center soft plastic shrimp and paddle tails are white, root beer, golden brim, or mangrove red in color is probably the best colors. And I got another pic of Mother's Day out. It's Amber Widener fishing with her husband, and from what I understood that day, she outfished him. Now, on the offshore side, Captain Steve of the Misbehaven's telling me out of Naples, the permit bite's still great from Indian Key to Wiggins Pass, fishing wrecks and towers, 35 to 60 feet of water using live crabs, either free line or a little weight, anchoring on top of the wrecks or slowly drifting by them or in and around them. If you've never caught one before, this is the time to start catching them because the bite's been on. Also, you want to concentrate on being patient to catch these fish. Fish right now are being caught up to 35 pounds, and I've got another pic of a permit that was caught on the Misbehaving. Now, also, the weather's supposed to be nice this weekend, the mangrove snappers. Concentrate on wrecks, artificial reefs, and ledges from 7 to 20 miles out from Marco to Fort Myers Beach, hopefully with the moderate weather. Chumming, block chum, cut herring or pilchards. Once the fish are located, simple cut baits, shrimp, herring, pilchard, squid, either flatline or little weight, depending upon where they are in the water column. A light leader suggested maybe 15 to 25 pounds. Should be a good weather this weekend, but most of all, get Mom out and show her how much you love her and enjoy the weekend.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Calusa cast nets, hotspots from the southwest region. Ronnie says inshore, tarpon, the beaches and the passes out to 20 feet in depth all along the coast, Marco to Boca Grande. Now is the time, guys. And then offshore, red grouper, Sanibel to Stump Pass in 55 to 75 feet of water, fishing hard bottom, using cut squid, herring, and sardines, Brie.
All right, friendly reminder that the 3rd annual CCA Homestead Banquet and Auction is on Thursday, May 17th at Schneeble's Winery in Homestead at 6 p.m. It's a fun time while supporting a great cause. So get your tickets now at ccaflorida.org.
It really is a
It really
fun
is.
time.
I'm not kidding.
The people in Homestead, they just turn out and they like to party.
They do, and it's at
raise money.
Schneeble's, and it's a great time.
Yeah,
I've
man.
been there.
Plenty to drink.
We'll see you there. We talk about bass every week in the East region, and that's because people come from all over the country to fish these lakes, and it's some of the best bass fishing in the world. So, Mike, like you do every week, let's talk about bass.
You know, it's funny. I like to say that in Florida, you can catch bass in a mud puddle. Lake Okeechobee is in my region. It's one of the top 5 lakes in the country for bass fishing. Clewiston, the city of Clewiston, and the city of Okeechobee, those are the 2 major fishing hubs with access to the lake. Right now, there's a lot of fish up in the shallows, and they're feeding on the bluegill that are bedding. It was some really, really good-sized fish in the mix. And then to the north and west of Vero Beach, we have the Stick Marsh Farm 13 Reservoir in my region. We also have the Garcia Reservoir. Both of those are world-class bass lakes. And then there's also the Fellsmere Reservoir, which is a new one that has no launch ramp, but canoe and kayak access. And again, it's poised to be a huge draw for big bass anglers, for guys that are really targeting those large fish. In southern Palm Beach County, there's that Lake Ida and Lake Osborne chain. You can catch largemouth there. You can also catch peacock bass there, along with all kinds of the invasive species like clown knifefish. And then to the north of that area is the Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge. It's a great spot for good numbers of bass. And then in my region, there's also, if you're going to target bass, there's 3 lures that you want to throw. Every bass fisherman should have them in their arsenal: a June bug-colored worm, a white spinnerbait, and a blue-back, chrome-bodied, lipless crankbaits. With any of those baits, you'll be able to catch fish. As always, live shiner are pretty much going to be money on the big fish and also on big numbers of fish. So let's move along inside. All the inlets in my region have a lot of smaller male snook around the shorelines. They're just inside the inlet. They're around the jetties, and they're on the beaches north and south of the inlets right now. We still haven't seen that push of big fish into the inlets, although Fort Pierce Inlet does seem to have some big fish that are out in the middle of the inlet in the deeper areas. So the guys that are fishing live bait from the boats are able to do well on those fish. I have heard of some big snook caught around Boynton Spillway and also the C-23 Spillway in Palm City. And there's been a few good fish taken off the seawalls of the North Fork of the St. Lucie River for guys throwing topwater plug. Live mullet are starting to show up on the flats, so places like Taylor Creek in Fort Pierce and also the Jensen Beach Causeway, they're seeing some big fish taken at night. Taylor Creek on topwater plugs and on live mullet, and the Jensen Causeway at night on red tailhawk jigs on the windy nights. There's also been a good topwater bite on the docks along the west bank of the Indian River from Savannah Road all the way to Midway Road. In that area, the average snook is 20 to 30 inches right now. I got a photo. That's Jason Arman of That's Our Man Land-Based Fishing Charters. He caught that snook on a 3.5-inch green pumpkin-colored saltwater assassin little boss. That fish was over the slot, and he released that fish alive. So it's still out there swimming, guys.
All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Well, the dolphin bite remains scattered, but what has been consistent is the king mackerel bite throughout the region. The best action is off Palm Beach County between Jupiter and Juno Beach, but there's also a lot of fish on the Loran Tower Ledge. There's also a lot of fish on the 6 Mile Reef, the Sand Pile, and also the offshore bar off Fort Pierce. On the days when the winds are out of the west, those fish are charging the beach, particularly the big kings, and you'll find them off the Kingfish Hole off Hope Sound and also off of Vero Cove. And the thing you want to remember, the sharks are really bad off Jupiter right now, so you need to stay on top of any fish that you hook. Run up on them. If they come up to the top, the first shot you get to gaff them, you got to sting them and get them out of the water. Target the fish by slow trolling with live Spanish sardines, You can fish pilchards. You can fish mullet on a number 4 wire stinger rig with a number 4 2X strong VMC treble hooks on that. Or you can drift and deploy the same live bait using a 40 or 50 pound fluorocarbon leader and a triple hook Palm Beach rig. You'll do well on the real clean days with that rig. Average kingfish right now, 15 to 25 pounds, but there have been fish 40 pounds caught in the mix. I got a photo there. That's Carissa Burford. She caught that big king off of Jupiter. She was fishing with Will Embry, and that fish ate a live Spanish sardine. The other thing we got going, grouper season opened May 1st, and the guys who do a lot of bottom fishing, they're finding good concentrations of both black and gag grouper on the 8 Mile Reef off Stewart and on the natural reef areas off Fort Pierce that are in anywhere from 120 to 180 feet of water. There's been some, also been some fish on some of the deeper artificial reefs like the Rankin and the Wickstrom and the Ken M, and even on the Mullifin. If you can get your bait down past all the amberjacks that are on them right now, there has been some grouper action. And with grouper, big baits catch big fish. Live croakers, a pinfish, a threadfin, a grunt, or even a big grunt plug. Those are working really well right now. Fish them on 60 to 80 pound tackle, 100 pound test fluorocarbon leader, 8.0 VMC circle hook. On the reefs in less than 100 feet of water, you can also fish Williamson speed jigs or an 8-ounce white jig with a glowworm and do pretty well on the grouper. Average grouper on region is going to be 10 to 20 pounds. There's fish to 40 pounds being caught right now. So, you know, grouper season's open and the fish are chewing in my region.
All right, thanks, Mike. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Atlas Jack Plate hotspots from the East region. Inshore, Jack Crevalle's to 30 pounds on the beach near the St. Lucie power plant. Use fly poppers, topwater plugs, and even a live mullet. And then offshore, kingfish in 100 to 120 feet of water off of Jupiter. Use live Spanish sardines on a monofilament triple hook rig.
All right, sit tight, my bass catching Floridians. The Northwest region is coming to you next, but first we're going to head over to the CCA workbench for some rigs and techniques with Dave, just to see how we can catch them, right, Dave?
Well, kind of. We're going to talk a little bit about catching exotic species down in South Florida with Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi.
Awesome. Can't wait to see him. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Always in the game. SiriusXM Marine. Weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet. And Seasucker. Get pumped.
Harbor Trucks features the largest selection of new and pre-owned trucks in the country.
And this month, it's invoice pricing for everyone.
That's right, you pay what we pay.
Get a brand new 2018 Nissan Titan for only $26,500.
No games, no gimmicks, just hassle-free buying at low prices.
Check us out now at harbortrucks.com and enter to win a 2018 Nissan Titan XD 4x4 diesel.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide-and-seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
Welcome back, everyone. We're now going to take a look at the FWC news and notes. May 12th, there's a kids fishing clinic in Fernandina Beach, and May 18th is the Sebastian Inlet PS boating course. For more information, visit myfwc.com. Now let's head to the CCA workbench for some rigs and techniques.
All right, we're here at the Academy Sports Rigs and Techniques and the CCA workbench, and we're doing a little different this year. Usually I come up here and talk about bass, but seeing as how we always talk about bass, I brought High in to talk a little bit about some of the exotic species that we catch here in South Florida. So you've been guiding down here. What kind of species are we looking at?
My favorite one to start off with is the butterfly peacock bass.
We got some pictures here, right? So
yeah, we got a few pictures coming in.
With a peacock bass and...
another one is the jaguar guapote. That's the peacock there.
Yeah, that's pretty
Everyone
good.
usually recognize that one for the colorful patterns.
How big do those things get here?
State record just over 9 pounds. There's been a couple of reports about 10, 11 pounds.
They are beautiful. And what kind of fish is that right there?
We got a red devil, or sometimes referred to as the Midas, and then the tiger Oscar on the far left.
Now, is that a tiger Oscar
That's
too?
a tiger Oscar too.
Now, what kind of fish are these exactly?
They're all cichlids. The majority of them are cichlids.
Well,
that one's a clown knifefish, which is found a little bit further north in Broward counties.
Right.
And Delray.
And what's that one?
That's the snakehead.
The people eat those things, right? The snakeheads?
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why they've been found down here, or supposedly allegedly brought down here.
Yeah, these are all freshwater fish, right?
All freshwater fish.
And that's your main guide right there. Is
that's
trying
the
to catch those things.
Yeah.
Now, what are you normally catching these things on, and what time of year are we targeting
all the
them?
cichlids you can be targeted and caught year round. You can catch them on lures, you can catch them on fly, so you can go from conventional casting to spin to fly rigs. You can get them on a variety of lures. I like twitch baits. Lip twitch baits with an erratic action is probably one of the most successful lures you can use, because it catches not only the target of the peacocks, but almost all the other predators as well.
Now, do they like things that are moving quickly, or?
It all depends. Predator fish, it's all about, especially when you get to the bigger ones, they're all about balancing how much energy to expel versus risk and reward. So I like to play off to their body language. So once you kind of get a play off of that, you have a split second to make those decisions. But
so you're seeing these fish first?
Absolutely, 100% sight fished.
So you're looking around. Now,
yeah.
When I first came down here, when we started doing the show, I wanted to catch a peacock, and I get up on close to these canals, and if my head peeks over the edge, they're gone. How are you getting so close?
Well, it's one of the advantages of being shorter is, you're a smaller profile, but absolutely, just like if you were stalking a fish on the flats, you want to create a smaller profile. So if you're on the casting platform of a skiff, and you just come up onto a school of bonefish or whatever you've been stalking for that day, if they come up kind of fast, you want to make a smaller profile. So on land, it's kind of the opposite. You're walking up onto them, so you kind of want to make yourself not seen if you can. Make yourself smaller profile, move slower. Definitely try to wear clothes that blend within the sky or the trees.
I got you.
Bright color shirts and neon stuff. Usually, red flags.
So where's your main target? Where do you work mostly?
All of Miami, some of Broward, but mostly in the South Florida. I range from Miami, from the north part all the way to south, and from probably Atlantic all the way into the fringes of the Everglades, and even going into the Everglades if the client wishes to go into there. And
where's the main places where you're targeting these fish?
The majority is going to be in the canals that bleed off into lakes, some private ponds or lakes as well, but for the most part, canal systems.
And the canals?
Yeah, I mean, there's canal systems all throughout Florida. If you zoom out, it's like Swiss cheese. So
where did all these weird fish come from? You know?
The peacocks were introduced by the state, by the FWC in 1984, to help control or eradicate some of the non-natives and invasives. The majority of the other invasives were, you have theories whether they were released by aquarium, people that didn't have too much experience. Some people think that they were introduced illegally. So depending on who you ask, it's all kind of a theory.
Because a lot of these fish are like the Oscars and the cichlids, they're from the aquarium trade, right?
Yep, absolutely. We were talking about it earlier, how usually when you have a pet and you give it a name, and then once, like we were talking specifically about fish, when you go to release them, if you can, you want to release them somewhere where they're going to keep growing, living, But eventually that becomes a problem for the state.
So if somebody wanted to come down here and go fishing with you, what's the best time of year you think to target these?
Whenever you can. Whenever you can. That's the great thing about the freshwater fishing and our inshore fishing is come down here whenever you can have a chance. If it's blowing too hard on the flats or even offshore, you have a great alternative. The variety of South Florida freshwater fishes, it's almost endless. You can get to double digits if you're looking for a species count. So there's always something to do.
Beautiful. Well, thanks, brother.
Hey, my
Thanks for
pleasure.
coming in.
Hey.
Hopefully we'll get out there and try to catch some of those.
Heck yeah. Good job, Dave. That's my problem, Rick. I'm too tall. I'm not sneaky enough like you.
No.
You can sneak up on him a little bit.
You have
You have a
no
smaller profile.
idea of the level of my sneakiness, Brie.
Oh, good. Okay, the Flagler Construction Equipment Northwest Region is now on the line.
That's from Mr. Deeds.
I know it is. That's my favorite movie. Good job. He has your weekend fishing report ready to go. Go for it, Hag.
The level of sneakiness, huh?
The level
Yes,
of sneakiness.
The level of
The level of
sneakiness.
I'm very sneaky. Okay, go for it.
What you got, Hag?
We got some great bass fishing in my region. We got thousands of lakes. Most of our bigger fish are caught in the wintertime months, right before they're spawned there. Shiners, plastic worm, hard baits, they're all effective in my region. We also have a very unique fishery, and I talked about this last year with bass fishing too. We actually catch shad with a cast net. Now remember, you cannot possess a cast net and a bass in the same boat, so if you're going to keep some fish, make sure you take the cast net back to your truck after you catch your shad, put it away. Go catch your shad. You want to have some oxygen on them to keep them lively and fresh. And then get out there and chum them just like you do on the flats for snook. And chum them up, and you'll throw against the cattails or on a grass bed and get these fish fired up like snook fishing. And then you can cast individual pops and get the fish really fired up. It's a unique way to bass fish in our region, like snook fishing in our region. And it's a pretty cool way to do it. Also, slow trolling shiners over grass beds is really super effective. We have a ton of parks in our region you can get to if you don't own a boat. Some of them you can launch a boat into, but if you don't own a boat, you can contact Parks and Rec and get to some of these places where you're allowed to fish. There's a lot of places like that. So if you don't own a boat, you're not necessarily tied down and can't go bass fishing. Just do a little research, and you guys can get out there and do some fishing. And I've got a couple photos here of Aiden Davenport. He fishes every day after school.
What?
And this is one of his best fish, and he caught this recently. And he's after it. He loves to fish. That's a great fish he caught on the white fluke.
Wow.
That is a great fish. Thank you so much for the picture, Hag. All right, what else you got for us this week?
Moving inshore, Captain John Lane of JB Charters out of Apalachicola Bay reports a good bull redfish bite right now around the passes and oyster bars. At the end of the incoming tide and the beginning of the outgoing tide, he's using live or fresh frozen shrimp on a 2-aught, 3-aught circle hook with 20 to 30 pound fluorocarbon leader, and the fish are averaging right now 15 to 25 pounds. So some nice big fish. And I got some photos there of Captain John Lane with some nice red fish.
Pretty sunset.
All right, what else you got for us?
Moving offshore, Captain Jimbo Keefe of Saltwater Fishing Assassin Fishing Charters from Cedar Key reports offshore kingfish and cobia are showing up 25 to 35 feet of water. Kingfish, you want to use straight fin herring on a small piece of haywire and a spear hook, slow trolled. Or you can get out there and troll a little bit faster with lead plugs like that Magnum Apollo or King Spoons, fast trolled. And right now you can do that on any kind of structure out there. When you're out there fishing that structure, you can drop a pinfish down either right on the bottom or free line out the back, and the cobia will bite those pretty well. And moving a little further south, Captain Harry Connor of Hook 'em Harry Charters out of St. Pete reports a great permit bite right now on the reefs and wrecks in that 35 to 65 feet of water. He's fishing. Most of the fish right now on the tide chain have been on top. So once you get out there, if you're the first one to spot before the other boats get there and the tide's changing, these fish will be up on top, tailing, mooning, flashing, and a little dollar-sized crab is the bait of choice. But if you can't get down, a tailhook shrimp will also work. But if you guys can get some crabs, it's hard for a permit to turn out a crab. Also, you want to, if they're not on top and you get out there, just anchor up, get above the wreck or off to the side of the wreck, up current of the wreck, and drift some crabs or shrimp back on the wreck. And you can use a little piece of split shot on that, get them down if the current's moving kind of fast. And the rig right now you want to use is anywhere from 6 to 8 feet of 25 to 30 pound fluorocarbon. That 7 fluorocarbon leader is what I use with a 2-aught, 4-aught VMC circle hook, and that'll do the trick to catch these guys.
All right, great report from the Flagler Construction Northwest Region, Bub. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots Captain Jeff says that this weekend inshore we should probably go red fishing on the bottom of the tide in the deep cuts adjacent to the mangrove shorelines or flats. Use cut bait for those redfish, and then offshore snappers on the high relief structure in 8 to 40 feet of water using live shrimp and sardines with a light lead.
All right, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Not for you. Have you registered for CCA Florida Star yet? It's Florida's largest fun family fishing competition, which begins Memorial Day weekend with new divisions, new prizes, and more ways to win. It's only $40 to enter for CCA members and $75 for non-members. So go to www.ccafloridastar.com to get registered. You won't want to miss out if you catch that winning fish, right, Rick?
Absolutely.
That happens.
I let 5 go today in Monroe County.
Did you really?
Yes,
well,
I
there you
did.
go. They're out there. You heard it from the man himself. We're just getting started here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, so if you're planning on dropping a line in the Central East or Southeast region this weekend, then stay hooked and we'll be right back with your captains. Nice truck.
Hey.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Swift, Silent, Secure, Bass Assassin, and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. The American Fishing Tackle Company, any fish, any water, since 1958. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
As close as you're going to get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Harbor Trucks features the largest selection of new and pre-owned trucks in the country, an on-site towing and test course, and a team of truck specialists. Come line up every make and model in one location and find the truck of your dreams, or we'll build it custom for you. Harbor Trucks, hassle-free buying, and low, low, low prices. Check us out now at harbortrucks.com or 2 miles off I-75 in Port Charlotte, Florida.
So we're here at Harbor Trucks, and I have Lee with me. He's in charge of fleet as well as commercial vehicles. So Lee, let's just get right into it.
Fleet and commercial. Fleet is over 25 units purchased per year. Commercial is 25 and under.
All right, so we got 2 sizes of trucks here. We have a little one next door as well as this big van. Tell me about the little one first.
NV200, probably my most popular seller. Good for pest control.
Pool guys.
Yeah, pool guys, home repair.
All right, so in this particular larger van, what sizes does it come in?
We offer this van in a 1500, 2500, and 3500. The 1500 only comes in a low top. The 2500 and 3500 can also be in a high top version.
And what about the engine packages for these vehicles?
6-cylinder engine in the 1500, 6-cylinder engine in the 2500 with an option for an 8, and in the 3500 there's a V8, 5.6 liter.
All right, so what about the interiors? Can we change this around?
Absolutely. This is a standard CIP package you're seeing behind me. That is at no charge to you, but Nissan also subsidizes guys like locksmiths, HVAC, plumbing contractors. We've got a range of options available to you.
Now you got a lot of great warranties, so why don't we talk a little bit about that?
We have the best warranty in the industry. 5-year, 100,000 mile bumper to bumper, even on the MV200. You cannot beat our warranty. Best warranty in the industry.
Well, thank you so much for clarifying that. Guys, if you're looking for a commercial vehicle, you can certainly go to Harbor Trucks Facebook page or to go to harbortrucks.com.
Well, Rick, speaking of Harbor Trucks, we are going to run a promotion with Harbor Trucks, and you're going to win. You have to enter to win. a Nissan Titan, right?
That's
Yep.
exactly right.
And the winner is going to be chosen at the end of this year. So make sure you go to harbortrucks.com and enter to win.
Right.
I'm going to enter. Can I enter?
Of course you can.
I'm going to enter. That's
Of course.
great.
I
All right.
just said you could.
Thank you.
Yes.
Whatever he says goes. Let's check in with the Casa Vieja Southeast region, where when it comes to bass fishing, everyone and anyone can have the opportunity to get one on your line. And Captain Jimbo Thomas is going to tell you just how to do that. Go for it, Jimbo.
That's right. Hey, everybody. Yep, in the southeast region here, largemouth bass can be found anywhere that there's fresh water. And one of the great things about bass fishing is you don't need a boat in most areas, and the wind and the weather is not as much of a factor as if you're going offshore. Now, the Everglades have some great bass fishing, especially when the water levels are low, and that concentrates those fish in the deeper holes. Then catches of 50 or more fish a day are not uncommon when they're concentrated in those holes. And then when the water levels are high, the fish will move up onto the flats. They get a little more spread out, but the fishing can still be really good. Now, the urban canals and lakes of the region, they also offer some great bass fishing, as well as peacock bass, and they're not affected by the water levels near as much. Now, the best bass bites can be early in the morning and then later in the day and into the evening when the water temperatures are not as warm. And some of the best baits are live shiners, bass assassin, artificial worms. You want to rig them Texas or wacky style, surface lures, crankbaits, and spinner baits. And there's a million other bass baits, but that's just to name a few there. Now, in the evenings and early mornings, there's been really good tarpon fishing in the inlets and around the bridges. They've been feeding on crabs, live shrimp, and mullet. The tide is in the inlets, doesn't matter as long as it's moving. Then around the bridges, the outgoing tide is going to be the best. There's also been some schools of tarpon moving through on the outside flats, and these migrating tarpon can be found on the oceanside points off any of the islands from Soldiers Key, South Angelfish Creek. You want to fish the incoming tide and target those traveling tarpon with crab pattern flies, neutral shrimp pattern swim baits, and small live crabs on a 5/0 circle hook. Now, you want to work the bait slowly through the school when you see these migrating fish. Work your bait slowly through the school or cast in front of the school. Make a very slow retrieve. That's going to get you the most bites. Now, moving offshore, best offshore fishing has been for blackfin tuna, which have been in the 25 to 30-pound range. And the tunas have been hitting drifted and kite fish, live pilchers, and herrings in 120 to 200 feet of water. And to get the most bites, go with 30 to 40-pound fluorocarbon leaders and 5/0 to 6/0 circle hooks. But then again, after going really stealth, we still had some tuna bites on rigs that had wire leaders. Now, the bite has been best early in the morning and then late into the afternoon just before it gets dark, and that's pretty standard for these tunas. And if you can get enough baits to live chum with, that's really going to help increase your odds of catching some of these nice tunas. And they have been biting throughout the region. Now, we've also got dolphin, which have been showing up in fairly decent numbers the last few days. The fish have been anywhere from the edge on out, and they have been some nice catches in the last few days. Now, most of the fish have been under birds and around scattered weed, but there's been a lot of sargassum around, but it has been scattered more than a line, and it's made it really tough to troll through in some of these areas. Now, the fish are being caught on live baits, fished along the edge, under the kites, or on slow troll, or you can troll with rig ballyhoo, small feathers, and lures. Once you find the fish, you can cast live baits or cut baits to them. Now, the fish have been coming through in small packs versus schools, and they've been in small packs of 4 to 5 fish. The fish have been mostly good-sized schoolies in the 5 to 6 pound range, but the few larger fish up to 30 pounds have been caught under frigate birds. Now, real quick, we got a lot of dolphin tournaments coming up in the next few weeks, and if you want some info on any of these tournaments going on in the Southeast region, go to the Thomas Flyer Facebook page or contact us if you have a tournament that you would like us to share.
All right, Jimbo, thank you so much. Great report from the Casa Vieja Southeast region. Let's take a look at the hot spots from Jimbo's region. He says inshore, drift live crabs and mullet through your local inlet for evening tarpon, and then offshore, fish live baits along the edge of the Gulf Stream in 90 to 200 feet of water for blackfins, kingfish, and maybe a sailfish, Brie.
All right, our Bell's Central East Region Captain Jim Ross has got you covered this weekend, whether you want to be out catching bass, going offshore, or staying inshore. So listen up.
Well, that's the truth, and hopefully everybody's having a good week so far this week. I know I have. It's been a great week to be fishing. But I was talking with bass angler Bryson Wright, and he said that the bass action is red hot around right here. They're sort of wrapping up on their spawning activity right now, and they're moving into more of a mid-spring, late spring, early summertime pattern. Now, he suggests throwing skitterwalks or die dappers on the outside grass lines, and anywhere that you find shad spawning first thing in the morning, that's a great place to throw those topwaters as well. Now, once this action slows down, he recommends switching over to a Bass Assassin Ding Dong rigged with about a 1/4 ounce weight and fish it around the grass with the lily pads. And then as we progress later into summer, Bryson was saying that the fish are going to move offshore even farther, and they're going to stage near brush piles and shell beds, and that's where a raffle of crankbaits and hard twitch baits like the shadow wrap often get the strike that you guys are looking for. And I've got a photo here Bryson Wright sent me that of a largemouth that he caught while he was slow rolling a Houdini-colored Bass Assassin Ding Dong around some Kissimmee grass on Lake Toho here recently. Now, my second report is also on freshwater bluegill. He says that the bluegill action right now is actually doing really good. And if you want to add some variety to your catch, you need to try some bluegill fishing. Now, Bryson's been saying that the bluegills are starting to spawn in many of the lakes throughout the Central East region right now. And to target them, you want to use really light gear. He uses a Memory Sticks 7'3" 2-power rod with a small cork. And under that cork, he puts a cricket. And you just heard the cricket in the background, most likely. Lakes are to target right now are Toho, Kissimmee, and he said especially the stick marsh. And catching 100 fish a day isn't uncommon right now. Now, the other thing that we want to talk about, this is sort of inshore instead of switching to the offshore things, guys, but I'll tell you, the inlets right now in the region are having some big redfish roaming around the mouth. And fish can show up just about anywhere outside of Canaveral and Ponce, outside of Sebastian. Most of the guys right now, to catch these big bulls, they're throwing croakers, pinfish, pilchards, and they're rigging them on a standard bottom rig. And you can also use a large shrimp rigged on a 1/4 or 1/2 ounce Saltwater Assassin Pro Elite jig head. That's a great way to get the hookups right now. So basically, get out there, check around those inlets, those not necessarily right on the jetties themselves. Sometimes the fish are on the channel, sometimes they're up the beach a little bit. Some of the other things that you can do if you want to catch fish on the flats, the Sebastian area, once again, is holding some decent slot-sized reds. Cast some soft Assassins. The 4-inch CSAD works really good. The 3.5-inch Storm GT360 is working really good as well. And most of these reds are running from about 18 to 26 inches. And I've got a picture of one of those reds right here that we caught down around the Long Point area earlier this week. Now, my last species, we're going to swing way offshore because it's not been a real pretty week out there, but a lot of the guys have managed to get out to the dolphin trolling grounds. My buddy Jody Calderon went out fishing last week, and he got out of Ponce Inlet on a boat called the Waterproof, captained by Captain Tim Garrett. They went about 40 miles out. They found a real nice edge, and he caught this nice dolphin that we've got a picture of and a bunch of others while trolling skirted ballyhoo. And so if you guys and gals get a chance to get out right now, it's going to be not pristine water. It's a little bumpy, but the fish are there, and they're starting to get bigger, so it's time for you guys and gals to go.
Thank you so much, Jim. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the sea sucker hotspots from the East region, Central East region, inshore. Ponce Inlet for the big red drum used large chunks of cut bait or 6 to 8-inch silver mullet on a standard bottom rig for bulls up to 45 inches. And then offshore, in 220 to 280 foot depths, troll skirted ballyhoos on 30 to 50 pound class gear. Now guys, I think it'd be really cool to take a look at the SiriusXM Marine, and this week we want to focus in on the weather radar that they provide for us. Now understand that this time of year, the reason why I like SiriusXM Marine is because the thunderstorms pop up all the time. Now I can tell by the density of the storms, certainly we have greens. The darker greens is actually heavier rain. We get into the yellows and the red, something to really worry about. Now looking at the next slide, you're going to see where we zoom in. We also get to see any time that there's lightning strikes, and we use a data part that comes from the National Weather Service. And what I like about this is now I know where I'm harm's way, which way the storms are coming, which way the lightning's going. And when I look at this, zooming in, I'm able to see that here's an opening that I can run and get out of harm's way. So the reason why I love SiriusXM in my bay boat is simply because it keeps me safer. Right, Brie?
Rick, if all else fails, you can always be a weatherman. That was wonderful. You did so good. All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we're checking in with our Panhandle region, and then we're giving you some ideas on what to get Mom for Mother's Day this weekend at the CCA Workbench. Dave?
Yes, we are.
Are you ready?
Yeah, we're talking about some Guy Harvey stuff.
Ooh, shimmy, shimmy. All right, we'll be back with that and more.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Soft Science, Supreme Comfort Footwear. Real Legends, exclusively at Bell's. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore four-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 four-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
Yeah? Stop working right now! Look outside. Is this spreadsheet weather? No, it's not. This is fishing weather. So stop clicking, get out there, and catch a bass. Stop what you're doing and start fishing Rapala Ripstop.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Stop by today and see our great selection for yourself. Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less.
Well, Dave, we're here at the CCA
Yes, sir.
Workbench. I appreciate you letting me come back over.
Why not? Why
But,
not?
you know,
We got plenty of room.
We got new products, and certainly, let's just get right into it.
All right, we're going to start here with the Costas. We got some women's sunglasses for Mother's Day coming up. I know moms like sunglasses. These are the Pipers, that shiny gold frame there. They have a copper lens. Those are made out of a titanium titanium and beta titanium mixed together. Really light, very strong. It's got the Hypalon, nice nylon on the temples and then on the nose piece, so it makes it stay soft and it keeps it sitting right there. And we also have the Half Moons with the tortoiseshell and the copper. Those are ladies as well. They got the straight temples and the Hypalon on the back.
Tell me about these hinges, Dave. You see
Well,
how-
they got built-in spring hinges, which is I'm a big fan of because I'm always giving hugs to the little girl and she always comes up and mashes my glasses real good. So when you got those springs that have a little extra give, they keep your
for rough guys and rough gals.
Yes, exactly. They keep your springs from popping out and busting up. So those are the new.
I hate it when my spring pops out.
Exactly. Those are the new Costas. So right. Next we have some really cool Guy Harvey shirts. These are the UVX performance shirts. This is the ladies right here. That's called the Chasing the Sunset pattern. All these UVX's performance, they have UPF 30, sun protection. They're antimicrobial. They breathe really well. They dry very quickly. You know, they're made for being out and getting in the sports and it, you know, getting
and
sweaty.
In the spirit of
in the
bass,
sport,
of
yes,
course.
I mean, because this is a bass show, we got to show this side because it
Isn't that
is so
beautiful?
pretty. They can do such great things with the printing these days. It's so clear, and it stays on there, and you don't feel it. You know, it's in the fabric. You know, before they used to print stuff on shirts, and you'd feel it on your back or whatever. Now it's just awesome.
What's amazing too is many washes, many days in the sun, and it
Correct.
still looks like this.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's very nice. Isn't
Nice
it?
job, Mr.
Guy
Harvey.
Harvey, UVX Performance. Now we got some, these are the Bomber lures from the all-water series from Bomber. These are called the Drumbeat Coastal Spinnerbait. And I first ran into these things fishing in Louisiana. You know, the fellas,
many moons.
Yeah, the fellas use these a lot when they're fishing for redfish in Louisiana. And it's really good for here, especially up where I live, where we got a lot of grass, because we'll have only maybe 6 or 8 inches of water between the grass and the surface. And if I have that spinnerbait, that big blade, that big 24-karat gold blade, I just broke the tail off. It makes the bait suspend, and it'll keep it in that zone, you know, between the surface and the top of the weeds. And you know, they got a really nice swivel on here.
So Dave, I'm gonna teach you a little trick. Sometimes
Yeah?
when they have this shape like that, it makes the bait swim a little sideways if you're reeling it quickly.
Right.
So what you can do is you can turn around and mash this like that, angling the wire, because I believe the wire acts as a rudder at times.
It will, yeah.
So now we put more drag in a different angle, and now your, you know, spinnerbait will swim more true.
Beautiful.
So just a little trick that I
Yeah,
learned.
why not?
In the redfish days.
These come with a 4-inch Yum mud minnow on there, and an 1/8 ounce and a 1/4 ounce sizes. BomberLures.com. Now this is a really cool. This is called the Lifeguard lanyard. I almost had this on the last show last year, but we bumped it right at the last minute. And this, I did a PSA for the Coast Guard, and what this thing does is, you know, it's your kill switch, and instead of going on your wrist, which you could put on your wrist, this thing goes on your ankle like a leash on a surfboard, and it's completely out of the way. You know, you're standing up with your skiff and your center console, and if you've got that thing on your ankle, it's very comfortable. It's out of the way. You're gonna wear it. When you're wearing something on your wrist or up here, you know, it's always in the way when you're trying to
steering wheel,
throttle. You know, line gets in this thing. You know, when you're fishing a lot of times. So if you could keep it down and out of the way, for one, you're going to wear the thing, which is very important. You know, when you're running by yourself a lot, or if you've got people in the boat who don't know how to operate a boat, and for some reason everybody's out of the boat, this will kill your motor, and everybody will be able to get back in without getting chopped up, because it happens, believe it or not, if you're running a boat without something like this.
Absolutely. One last thing?
Well, we go real quick. You know, these are the live target swim baits. These are the mullet and the sardines. Really nice baits. If anything that'll eat a mullet or a sardine is going to eat one of these things. They got the nice big paddle tail, black nickel hooks. The big ones come with 3/0, you know, big nice giant hook. I actually lost the little one of these today.
What?
In a mangrove. Yeah, I was trying to catch. I saw the biggest snook I've ever seen in my life today.
And went a little long, did you?
I did. I went right in the mangroves.
That doesn't ever happen to me.
Now, whee!
Hey, good job over here, bud.
No worries.
No, it never happens to Rick because he's very, very sneaky, right?
Yeah.
No, it's just because I was born very, very short.
Oh, yeah, that too. All right, if you're looking for some bass action in the Yeti Panhandle region, then listen very closely to Captain Pat Deneen, because he's got what you need. Hey, Pat.
Hey, Brie, I tell you what, bass fishing is good right now in the Panhandle, and we've got lots of places to fish for them. We've got everything from big reservoirs like Lake Seminole, Lake Talcott, major rivers like the Chattahoochee River and the Apalachicola River, and then really uncountable numbers of small neighborhood ponds or golf course ponds. And the bass, the big female bass, they're off the beds in the Panhandle, but they're still biting well, especially in the rivers and in the lakes and ponds. I spoke with Tony Biggett, and he reports the Chattahoochee River and Lake Seminole are both on fire for the big bass, using buzz baits, wacky worms, and topwaters. They're all producing. They're producing good-sized fish. Dave Miller of Destin, he's a bass nut. He fishes whenever he can for them. He mainly fishes these smaller local neighborhood, you know, convenient ponds. He swears by using a light line, a small hook, and a stealth approach, and he catches them. I mean, he called me just today and said he caught 7 at lunch break. And apparently his light leader, light stealth approach works, because there's a photo there of an 8-pound bass he pulled out of a neighborhood pond just this week during his lunch break. So we do have some good bass fishing.
I like his style, man. I'm going
break.
fishing for lunch, baby.
That's right. That's right. Hey, staying inshore, we've got good trout fishing going on, particularly in the St. Joe Bay area and within Santa Rosa Sound, and also over in Pensacola, east of the 3 Mile Bridge. The big trout are moving. They've moved out of their deeper holes, their deeper winter holes, and they're spreading out on the grass beds. Captain Sean Chalker in Gulf County reports excellent trout fishing on the grass around Blacks Island in St. Joe Bay and north towards the park. He's targeting the grass, especially spotty bottom areas and, waist deep water, using topwater baits and hard twitch baits like a mirror lure, Mirrodine. And then over in Santa Rosa Sound, Captain Chuck Kemper, he's targeting grass outside the canal mouths, the places where those big trout winter. They've come out of those areas, and now they're on the grass. He's fishing soft plastics or a live shrimp under a clacker bobber. And these bigger bay trout, they're all females loaded up with roe. So, be nice to them, especially if you've got one over 20 inches already. You got your limit. Be nice to them. Release them healthy. There's a photo of a beautiful 25-inch trout that was caught this week with Lucky Chucky and Navarre fishing that live shrimp under a float.
I love it. Let's go offshore, Pat.
Rick, the amberjacks are still providing plenty of action in the Panhandle. The weather has been awesome this past week. Real calm seas, so everybody's able to get out there and go get them. We've been targeting the bigger public wrecks and state waters, and it's all about the bait. If you get the right bait, you're going to probably get the right bite. And the right bait is a live hardtail. I've been free lining this hardtails on a 50-pound fluorocarbon leader off a spinning rig over these public wrecks. When we get the bite, we immediately move off the wreck so that we don't get wrecked by the jack. And oftentimes those other jacks will stay with that hooked fish so you can hook up more than one. We've also caught some nice ones by aggressively fishing a skitter walk. You don't walk the dog, you skitter it across the surface real strong. On the deeper spots, you want to use a slip sinker with a long leader. And the state water jacks that we've been catching have been running 34 to 38 inches. I haven't caught a short one yet. And then finally, the king mackerels. The last few days, the kings have shown up pretty good right outside the Destin Inlet. You can sabiki up cigar minnows and herrings right there at the lip on the incoming tide, and then just move a bit offshore and start slow trolling them around. Nose hook your baits with a 2-hook stinger rig or a ha-ha rig like Brandon was mentioning. Fish a couple baits on the surface, 1 or 2 off a downrigger, and if you don't get the bites right there, move a little bit further offshore. There's some concrete bottom there, fish around those, or even a little bit further offshore on the natural bottom areas. And in addition to the kings, there's been some big Spanish being caught and quite a few decent mahis as well. In fact, we caught one yesterday right on the sandbar while we were looking for Jack Crevalle. So the dolphins are around as well.
So, Pat, you were gone for a couple weeks. Why don't you share with our viewers where you were and what you were doing, please?
Well, we basically took the Out of Here, which is the Viking that I run, and we spent the part of 2 weeks in February down in the southern Bahamas, Long Island area, the middle part of March in the Exumas, doing a lot of bone fishing, and then the last 2 weeks or so, we were down there in the Abacos, targeting offshore fish, catching mostly dolphins. I mean, we were looking for marlins, but we were catching dolphins.
You know, Brie,
well,
I don't remember getting that invite in our off season, but I guess we have to be here doing the show while Pat's
I sent the invite to
out of here. He's out of here.
He's Bahama bound, you know.
Bahama bound.
All right, out of here. Well, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much for getting us straight on that. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. Pat says inshore, big speckled trout in St. Joe Bay on topwater baits over the grass. Early morning and late afternoon is best for the trout. And then offshore, swim a live hardtail over the bigger metal wrecks and pull on a big amberjack.
Big amberjack.
Why in the world would you want to do that?
House of Pain, baby. All right, we're coming up with your Central West and Northeast region reports. So if this is you, hang tight and we'll be chatting with our special guests here from FWC. Also, don't forget, if you want to keep up with everything fishing in Florida, all you have to do is visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us on YouTube, and view and tag us on Instagram. That's it. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Startron cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti, built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Strike Zone Fishing, your fish hunt paddle store. And Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist.
Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
Harbor Trucks features the largest selection of new and pre-owned trucks in the country.
And this month, it's invoice pricing for everyone.
That's right, you pay what we pay.
Get a brand new 2018 Nissan Titan for only $26,500.
No games, no gimmicks, just hassle-free buying at low, low, low prices.
Check us out now at harbortrucks.com and enter to win a 2018 Nissan Titan XD 4x4 diesel.
Flagler Construction Equipment is your certified Volvo equipment dealer, servicing 55 counties in Florida. With Volvo, you get brute strength combined with bulletproof durability. That means low downtime and optimal production. Flagler Construction Equipment is the partner for all your Volvo sales, service, and rental needs, and your first and last stop for legendary customer service and support. Push boundaries with Volvo. Get to know Flagler Construction Equipment by stopping by one of our 6 locations, or visit us on the web at www.flaglerce.com.
Well, I'd like to welcome our friends from the FWC, Connor Hughes and Baron Moody. You know, Connor, the R3 initiative is really important to the governor and also the Fish and Wildlife Commission. So why don't you tell us what R3 really means?
Absolutely. The FWC is committed to recruiting, retaining, and reactivating anglers. And one of the ways we are doing that is through our high school fishing program.
Right.
And so we are very excited to announce that coming this fall, we will be launching our brand new high school fishing program, where schools participating in the program will receive a fishing curriculum, financial funding, equipment, gear, and even mentorship opportunities. And programs like this, we believe, will help contribute to forming that next generation of anglers. And for more information about this program, please email me, connor.hughes@myfwc.com.
So tell me, you know, certainly our next generation, it starts, what level is this? This is only high school? Do we have any programs set up for middle school or even elementary school down the road, Connor?
Absolutely. So high school fishing is really where we are starting right now, but we also offer youth summer camps in both Marine Division and also the Freshwater Division.
All right, now trophy catch is certainly always a part of our conversation during the Bass Show. So have we changed anything? What's new with trophy catch?
Sure. So we are currently in season 6 of Trophy Catch, and Trophy Catch is our incentive-based conservation program that rewards anglers for their catch and release of largemouth bass 8 pounds or greater. And so the component of the program that I will be talking about today is the Lake County Tourism Big Bag Prize. Oh, okay. And this will be awarded to the angler with the 5 heaviest approved catches for the season. And this package is incredible. It includes a 2-night stay in Lake County, along with a fishing day with FLW Pro Angler Tim Frederick. So it's a fantastic opportunity, and we cannot wait to award this at the end of our season, season 6 in September.
So for more information, obviously,
please visit our website at trophycatch.com.
Now, Baron, you've been on the show several times. We got Mother's Day right around the corner. Why don't we talk a little bit about Mother's Day and what the FWC has for them?
Absolutely. You know, my grandmother gave me my first fishing rod, and those are some really cherished memories. And so we just wanted to talk a little bit about how spending a day with Mom on the water is a great way to spend time with the family. And Florida really offers a lot of opportunities for that. These trips don't have to be complicated or difficult. I brought along a map that shows a few sites that have really great facilities. They're convenient to people and offer some great views. To look up more about these sites or others, top fishing spots, you can visit us at myfwc.com/fishing. So here we're highlighting up in the Northwest region in Leon County, Piney Z Fish Management Area. I should note that this is a lake that does not allow outboards. It's non-motorized vessels only.
And then the Newman Lake area?
Yeah, Noonan's Lake Fish Management Area in Alachua County. This is a really productive lake, offers great fishing for bass, crappie, bluegill, and catfish. There in Orange County, Turkey Lake Fish Management Area was actually just featured on our Trophy Catch Facebook page. It's part of the Fish Orlando program, offers a boat loaner program. So if you don't own a boat, this is a place to check out. You can use one of ours provided by Bass Pro Shops. The Tenorock Fish Management Area in Polk County in the southwest region. These are some reclaimed phosphate pits, super productive fisheries, really convenient to people. And then finally, in Palm Beach County, the John Prince Park offers great access to Lake Osborne, including the butterfly peacock, which we talked about earlier today.
All right, guys, thank you so much. And again, what website?
Trophycatch.com, and if you want to email me more about the high school fishing program, please contact me at connor.hughes@myfwc.com.
All right, thank you so much. All right, Bree, it's got to go to another region. Where we going?
Friendly fishing map. I love it. All right, we're checking in with our StarTron Central West region captain, Jeff Page, who's got the goods for y'all planning on being on the water this weekend. So, Page, let's hear it.
All right. You know what? In the StarTron Central West region, the largemouth bass may not be the most popular fishing species, but definitely there's plenty of places to catch them. Starting with all our rivers, Bree, from the Braden and the Manatee rivers up to the north, and the Myakka and Peace rivers down to the south. In between, there's lots of good lakes. Probably the most well-known are the lakes that are located in the Myakka State Park, upper and the lower lake. And then there's also Lake Manatee, and then there's the FPL Parish Lake, which is a cooling pond to the FPL power plant, which is only accessible a few days out of the year. But when you can get out on a lake, it's some of the best bass fishing in our whole state. Then, of course, we have all our little local developments and golf course ponds, which a lot of them are publicly accessible. And it's tough to beat using the 7 or 8 inch Bass Assassin curly tail worm in the motor oil or June bug color. Another good bait is a live bait is the live shiner under a cork. And I've got a couple photos tonight. The first one of 7-year-old Brody York with a couple bass he caught with his dad, Sean. Awesome. And then the second bass photo is of Brody's uncle, Devin York, who works at Economy Tackle and is a full-time fishing guide as well out of Sarasota.
All right. What about some inshore snook fishing, Jeffrey?
Well, I don't think it's as good as your snook fishing, but it's not bad. It remains strong in our region with more fish, Rick, pushing out into the passes and along the beach in the Gulf. Excuse me. It's pretty much anywhere there's a down tree or a rock pile along the beaches in my entire region, you're going to find snook. And don't be surprised if there's some nice mangrove snapper or flounder mixed in with them. I've been catching plenty of bait right now with that 3/8 inch Calusa cast net. A lot of the bait's right there along the beach where I'm catching the snook, so it's pretty easy to find. We also are having a really good early morning topwater action with Chrome Super Spooks or the Bone Chartreuse Skitter Walk. The fish have been hitting the topwaters in Palmasola and Terracea Bay, and then down to the south at the mouth of Catfish Creek, and also Widdens Creek and Bull and Turtle Bay. Live filtered, free-lined, or under a cork. I've also been getting the job done around the mangroves on the higher stages of the tide. And I've got a snook photo tonight of Miss Pam. I don't have her last name, but she fished with me 2 days ago, and she's from Chicago with a nice snook she got out on the beach.
All right, what do you got offshore for us, bub?
Gag grouper. I know they're still closed, but some quality catch and release gag grouper have moved in to the 30 to 50 foot range. Even though the water's been warming, just a lot of gags have pushed in closer, cleaner water, more bait, I'm not sure. And the guys are finding them on hard bottom areas and ledges. Pretty good numbers. Captain Trey Deep reports having a good day of catch and release gags in 45 feet of water off ledges off Sarasota. He was using live filters and pinfish. Also, Captain Eric White, who did a show with you on Sportsman Adventures, he's been doing really nice on some gags, a little bit deeper, 90 to 110 foot off Venice and Englewood, using a mixture of live pinfish and frozen sardines. I've got a gag photo tonight of Captain Trey Deeds and a young, happy client that was with him aboard the Baywalker 2. And my last species, amberjack. With amberjack season opening May 1st, a lot of the guys are catching some really nice amberjacks in as close as 35 feet of water. Some of the bigger fish have been out to 80, 100 over hard bottom areas and ledges. Live silver mullet are getting the fish. But if you can chum them up to the surface, Captain Jason Stock has been doing real well catching them on the new Halco popper plug. And some of these AJs, Rick, have been going 20 to 40 pounds.
All right, thanks so much, Paige. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck hotspots from the Central West region. Paige says inshore tarpon. Good numbers are showing up from the Venice Jetty south to Boca Grande Pass. Live crabs or threadfin is going to be your best bait. And then offshore, kingfish, still a lot of them holding on hard bottom areas in 5 to 7 mile range off of Anna Maria, Brie.
All right, whether he's here hosting in the studio or in the Strike Zone Northeast region via FaceTime, it's always a good chat with Captain Tommy Derringer. What's up, Tommy?
How you doing, Big
Hey,
T?
Bree.
Hey, thanks
Hey,
so
Rick,
much
how you guys
last
doing?
week. You bailed me, bud.
Yeah, man, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me in there. I'm looking forward to, I think, a couple weeks I'll be back down there. So.
Yep.
Looking forward to it. You know, guys, the Strike Zone Northeast region is an awesome place to catch some bass. It's something I did a lot of when I was growing up. And, you know, it's readily available. You can catch bass in just about any neighborhood pond. And that's the cool thing about bass fishing here in Northeast Florida. Pretty much any body of fresh water, whether it's large or small, it's going to hold some largemouth bass. And it's a great way to catch some fish for that angler that has limited time to go fishing. You know, I got a bunch of friends that can go to one of the ponds by their house after work, catch a couple of nice bass, and still be home in time for dinner. Now, I spoke to bass pond hopper Craig Etheridge, who tells me that the bass are in the local ponds right now. They're in post spawn, and they're really hungry coming off their beds. And Craig tells me the topwater bite is going off, but you know, as things heat up going into summer, you're gonna wanna be out there early or right before dark, as they tend to shut down during the heat of the day. Now, we do have some of the best trophy bass fishing around here in the St. Johns River, and there's just too many great trophy bass lakes around here to mention them all. But one way you can target bass this time of year is to fish around the docks up in the St. Johns River with a live shrimp, mullet, or a shiner under a float. And you can catch some big bass, but you can also catch some redfish, trout, and flounder, and even the occasional snook, and that's due to that brackish water. Now, of course, a topwater Rapala skitter walk early in the morning or at dusk is going to catch some of those lunkers and get them fired up. And speaking of lunkers, I've got a photo here. This is Tyler Etheridge with a lunker of a bass he caught in one of his neighborhood ponds. You know, Tyler's 14 years old. He's caught 9 bass already over 10 pounds. You guys think Tyler might be a future bass master?
Yes. Absolutely. If he needs a sponsor, I'm going to sign up as his agent.
There you go.
Man,
well, you know, moving to the saltier side of things, you know, I've got all kinds of great redfish reports this week, and we have a great tide to target them this weekend. I spoke to Captain Buzz Brandon from NortheastFloridaAngling.com. He tells me that the shallow water redfish bite has been on fire in Jacksonville this week. He's been fishing the Dutton Island and the Oak Harbor areas. He's targeting small creek mouths and drains with oyster bars around them on that outgoing tide. He's tossing a live shrimp on a 1/4 ounce jig head or a root beer bass assassin paddle tail, and he's just bumping those along the bottom and along the oysters. Now, I also spoke to Captain Rob Bennett from coastalfish.net in St. Augustine. Now, Rob's been slaying the redfish. He's doing it a little differently. He's using a float rig with about 20 inches of leader with a live shrimp or a 1/4 piece of crab pinned to a 3/0 BMC circle hook. And he's fishing the outgoing tide in the creeks like Poncho all the way up to Stokes, north of the Volano Bridge in St. Augustine. Now, my clients this week, we've been tossing a skitter walk in the trout pattern on the high outgoing tide at first light in the flats south of State Road 312. You know, I'm just looking for concentrations of mullet, and that's where those big redfish have been hanging out. And finally, Dave Ferrell from Salty Dog Outfitters in Flagler, he also sent me a report and tells me that with all this nice weather, the redfish are up in the extreme shallow stuff. They're tailing and backing in the creeks and the flats from High Bridge all the way down into Tomoka Basin. Soft plastics and freeline live shrimp have been working great, and you can stop in there and see Dave. I know they have some really nice live shrimp in their shop. I've got another photo of a redfish here. This is Patty Scott with a big redfish that she caught with me on that trout pattern Rapala skitter walk. Now, moving offshore, you know, I probably sound like a broken record, but those blackfin tuna, they're still going off out there. Captain Billy from the Endless Summer Charters says the tuna are spawning right now, and they're thick right there along the ledge. Most anglers are targeting the mahi, But Billy says you still want to have some of those cedar plugs ready, as they've had quite a few double-digit days with those tunas here lately. They're also going to eat the ballyhoos, and of course, that's going to bring me to the mahi. The mahi bite's been going off. They're wide open right now throughout the region. They're also mostly on the ledge, but Captain Jeff Crabtree reports that the weeds are scattered right now, but if you find those weeds, you're going to find some of those mahi. Jeff says they've been having 20-plus fish days pretty easily, and said you want to keep as many lines out as possible, even when you're fighting a fish, because you're probably going to have some multiple hookups. Naked, chin-weighted ballyhoo, rigged to swim just right, is going to be the go-to bait. And I've got one last picture here. Photographer extraordinaire, Captain Colin Phillips, sent me this picture of Captain Trey Jones with a nice mahi that they caught this past week out of St. Augustine.
Man, it makes me hungry for a dolphin sandwich.
So pretty.
Yeah, me too.
All right, we're gonna go.
I didn't get a call. They didn't give me the call.
We got to do better than that, Tommy. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Northeast Strike Zone region. Inshore, early morning topwater bite for reds and trout throughout the region. Toss the trout or redfish colored Rapala skitterwalk around the mullet schools, and then offshore tunas and mahis at the ledge. Troll a combo of naked ballyhoo and a cedar plug.
Okay, we have one more region left to conquer, and that, of course, is the Keys. So stay hooked, and we'll be back right here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Suffix, always use the best line. The IGFA, fish for the future. Flagler Construction Equipment, your exclusive Volvo dealer. And Okuma, inspired fishing.
When you're moving a big offshore boat, it's all about thrust and trust. For thrust, nothing compares to the Yamaha purpose-built 5.3-liter V8 Power Pioneer. And for trust, Yamaha's new F350C model becomes the only outboard in its horsepower class to feature a 5-year limited warranty. Never settle for less than complete confidence and control in the open water. That's Yamaha V8 Power. Get the best and forget the rest.
Outside is a bully. There are bears, screaming fleet-footed waters, arrogant mountains, Goliaths, 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 and 100 other excuses to stay inside. But there are ways to deal with bullies.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Harbor Trucks features the largest selection of new and pre-owned trucks in the country, an on-site towing and test course, and a team of truck specialists. Come line up every make and model in one location and find the truck of your dreams, or we'll build it custom for you. Harbor Trucks, hassle-free buying, and low, low, low prices. Check us out now at harbortrucks.com or 2 miles off I-75 in Port Charlotte, Florida.
Today's Power Pole Tip of the Week is about the switches that are gonna come in the box with your power poles. Now understand, guys, if you buy 2 power poles, you're gonna have 4 switches. There's no need to program all 4 of those switches. Just pick your favorite switch. Like in my case, I really love the multifunction switch. I can program this to run all the poles on my boat. So there's no need to use all 4 switches. Now, the reason why I like the multifunction switch is simply because I can isolate the individual poles. I can make one go up while the other one stays down. And while I'm out drift fishing with paddles, this seems to work very well. I can manipulate the angle of the boat. The other thing that I do is sometimes I'll pick up one pole, pivot the boat using the trolling motor, get the angle that I like going down the shoreline, and then I can pick up the secondary pole. So keep in mind that you don't need all the switches, and use your multifunction switch to manipulate the boat the way you want. And that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week.
All right, the Keys has just about everything to offer, even bass. So listen up to Captain Randy Tao to hear your Paradise Weekend Report. Hey, Randy.
Hey, Randy.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, when we talk about the Florida Keys, about the last thing we really think about is a freshwater bass. We're thinking of tarpon and bonefish and dolphin, but we do have some bass fishing. Kind of the upper part of Key Largo along the 18-mile stretch is one of the hot spots. I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble for saying this, but the Aerojet Canal in particular, a lot of guys will go to. And believe it or not, a lot of these big offshore guys and backcountry guys, when they take a busman's holiday, they like to go up there and go bass fishing. Now, where the Aerojet Canal is, there's a little boat ramp right there. You can put a skiff in, and you can travel up and down that canal. It's quite long, maybe 15 miles long. And the guys just get along the edge of it, and they'll throw plastic worms and jerk baits and things like that, mostly artificial. They're not really using any live bait, but it's pretty productive. And you catch a few peacock bass, but mostly some nice largemouth bass. And I've got a photo from our local Steve Jan with Motion Marine and Car Audio in Tavernier with a nice bass he caught the other day fishing along those shores.
That's a great fish. Good job. Thank you so much for sending that in, Randy. All right, what else do we have inshore, bub?
You know, it's tarpon time. We got to talk about tarpon because it's the big thing. Everybody's tarpon fishing every day, whether you're bait fishing or fly fishing. It's pretty much what all of us are in that mode right now, and it's been pretty good. Still a good bite around the bridges, but the nice thing right now is the fish are starting to show up on the ocean side for the fly fishing guys. Pretty heavy right now. Now, that's a big thing. We only get maybe 120 days of really good sight fishing along the ocean, so guys really take advantage of their time, and they'll fish a couple of days or a couple of weeks on the ocean side, throwing in the crystal clear water of these big strings of tarpon that come down the shoreline, migrating to the south. So sometimes on that east wind, it's a little difficult to cast into the wind, but guys certainly get it done. I was talking to Captain Richard Black. He's a very, very good fly fishing guide and just guide in general. Young guy, fishes out of the Lorelei. He was telling me the other day about the big tarpon that he caught on fly with his angler, Max Skibber, and he sent me a picture, and he did not tape this fish, but it was quite large. He felt in the 160-pound range.
That is a good fish. Good job, Richard. Keep those pictures coming. All right, let's go offshore, Papa.
Dolphin. It is full on right now, dolphin fishing. You know, but the problem is you get calm days, you get rough days. It's just the way it is. You can't really pick the weather. But the weed lines and the fishing has been really good from about 400 feet on out. Now, there's several different weed lines guys are finding up off of Tavernier, down off of Marathon. Seems to be the same line. And if you get on these weed lines, just put your time in and be patient. Look for the birds, get your binoculars out, try to find something floating, try to find the birds working, and that's going to be your key to get in that area. You know there's going to be fish there, whether you're going to wait to sight fish or you're going to troll. I like to troll 2 ballyhoos and find them, and then once I get hooked up to them, I have my spinning rods ready where I can capitalize and hopefully find a big one. Now, I've got an interesting photo of a 58-pound dolphin that was caught over the weekend by the young kids, Paul Ross Jr., Benny Spalding Jr. They were fishing the dolphin tournaments this weekend, and Dad's doing his thing in his charter boat. The kids get in the center console, and here you go, 58-pound winning dolphin in, I believe, 2 or 3 of the major dolphin tournaments last weekend.
Wow. Man, good job, guys. Way to keep them coming. All right. Randy, what about a snapper report?
You know, the genuine red snappers is not something that we would normally target, but we do catch them when we're mutton fishing or we're on some of the deeper spots. And lately, the genuines have been around. Now, we got to catch them and let them go. You know, usually the season is closed or it's open on the weekends here and there. You really have to pay attention to your local rules and regulations on the closure. But guys, nonetheless, guys still catch them. Live bait's usually preferred because you're trying to fish for something else. But every now and then, You drop a jig down, and you think you might come up with something, and to your surprise, it's a big, genuine red snapper like this 23-pounder with Captain James Simsick with Spear Crazy Charters and Marathon, had an angler, Ron Lakey, who dropped a jig to the bottom, hoping for a grouper, and pulls up this 23-pound genuine red snapper.
Genuine.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Great pictures this week, Randy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Florida Keys. Randy says inshore tarpon fish the bridges with live mullet on any tide, early and late. Look for the fish swimming southbound on the ocean side with your fly rod. And then offshore, dolphin looking 400 feet of water out to the weed lines and look for those birds. Be patient as you find fish and then pick out the big one.
That was a genuine report. All right, there's always tournaments going on in the Florida Keys, so let's take a look at what's coming up. This weekend's 12th annual Mother's Day Dolphin Tournament is set for May 11th and 12th in Marathon and benefits Habitat for Humanity in the Middle Keys. Prizes include retail merchandise and cash. The silver anniversary of the original Big Pine and Lower Keys Dolphin Tournament is set for June 1st through the 3rd. Presented by the Lower Keys Chamber of Commerce, there's more than $35,000 in cash prizes and awards. The Veterans of Foreign Wars Fishing Tournament, set for Saturday, June 9th in Key West, is a family-oriented inshore and offshore tournament offering cash prizes in different divisions. The Ladies Tarpon Fly Tournament, scheduled for June 13th to the 15th, is an all-release fly fishing invitational that attracts many premier lady fly anglers, but it's also open to the less experienced female anglers. All right, and now let's check in with Andy Newman to see what featured tournament he has for us. So go for it, Andy.
Well, hi guys. The Skipper's 4th annual Dolphin Tournament is set for June 1st to the 3rd in Key Largo. There's more than $60,000 in cash up for grabs, with $20,000 going to the winning team. Tournament headquarters is Skipper's Dockside near mile marker 100 in Key Largo. More details at skipperstournaments.com and information on all angling tournaments in the Florida Keys, as well as vacation specifics, always at flakeys.com.
Thanks, Andy. All right, we hope you've had fun talking all about the bass, and we're just about ready to wrap it up and prepare for the weekend fishing / Mother's Day festivities. But first, we have to tell you what we're fishing for next week, only on the Florida
Insider Fishing Report.
There we go.
There we go.
Harbor Trucks features the largest selection of new and pre-owned trucks in the country.
And this month, it's invoice pricing for everyone.
That's right, you pay what we pay.
Get a brand new 2018 Nissan Titan for only $26,500.
No games, no gimmicks, just hassle-free buying at low, low, low prices.
Check us out now at harbortrucks.com and enter to win a 2018 Nissan Titan XD 4x4 diesel.
Master your most challenging offshore experience with confidence and ease with Yamaha Helmmaster. Precise, intuitive control on the open seas. Unrivaled ease for maneuvering and docking in port. And now SetPoint adds 3 new dimensions to boat control. Maintain boat position with fish point, or a position and heading with stay point, or a heading while you drift with drift point. Yamaha Helmmaster. Now with SetPoint. Complete digital control for today's larger offshore boats.
When you're paid to put fish in the boat, you don't mess around with the thing that puts fish in the boat. Always use the best line.
Thanks for tuning in to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes, special segments, and updated fishing reports from your region right on our homepage. Just head to FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
Make sure to tune in next week because we are talking dolphin, dorado, mahi-mahi, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
So Dave,
well, before
what's
we
going
go,
on here?
Well, you know, I didn't get to do my little bass spiel like I usually do on the bass show, and I just wanted to mention, you know, I like to use these Bass Assassin tap outs a lot.
Right.
When I showed you the Nico rig a while ago,
right.
I've been using it to a huge effect with those finesse worms they got, that little narrow worm. When you put a nail weight in one end and put the 2/0 VMC NACO hook in the back and bounce that on the bottom, it looks like a little minnow doing the nose dive, bouncing on the bottom. And if you use a 6-pound monofilament, you'll get bites.
You've got all different
bites,
colors
bites. Well, I like that. That hunch punch color is what I like.
Hunch punch.
Hunch punch. But
I like
this,
it.
I like to use this worm, a bigger worm in really dark water with the tail and the ridges on it because it, you know, moves some more water, makes a big silhouette. And blue is the last color that any fish can see in the water. It's the last one to go away. So try those Bass Assassin worms, man. They really work well.
There you go. Little extra tip there.
Yeah, man.
Dave, I appreciate it.
All right, guys.
3
thanks
segments
for,
at the workbench.
There you go. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day. Please send us all your pictures with your moms in them. And we'll see you next week for Dolphin. Bye.